Servus miteinander, Matthias here. This week I realized something. I really gotta stop saying, this week we're doing something a bit different. I sort of feel like after saying it week after week, I sort of got to embrace the fact that Singletrack is the bit different type of podcast. And this week, well, it's no different yet again. Jeff Vierling is back, co-founder of Tailwind Nutrition. You all know that I love Tailwind, and I use it on my long runs and races and for recovery. But what you might not know is that I'm also a designer. In fact, that's what I do as my day job. I design logos, build websites, and help companies and organizations define their branding and marketing strategies. So when I saw that Tailwind rebranded and came out with a new logo and a brand new website, I had to hear the story behind it. It's a cool story because you hear how a small business owner cares about its customers deeply and wants to make the best products to help you all succeed wherever you're chasing your athletic dreams. Before we dive into my chat with Jeff, I wanted to share a few more things from my amazing holiday gear guide. And yes, all season long you can find all cool things mentioned at singletrack.fm/gear. One of my all-time favorite memories is sleeping under the stars just below the Cinque Torri, the Five Towers, the popular climbing destination in the Dolomites. The summer lift stopped running as the sun set, and the nearby high alpine hut got quiet as the day hikers left to head back down into the valley. That night under the stars was made possible by a really good sleeping bag. In fact, I never had a bad night in a sleeping bag. Sleeping bags are great. So what Rumpel did is bring this feeling into the living room. Yes, those blankets can be used outdoors around the fireplace and the hammock and everywhere else you use a sleeping bag. But where Rumpel blankets really shine is on the couch, watching Netflix and dreaming of actual adventures. Wrapped in a blanket that feels like and reminds you of your favorite sleeping bag. So, if you have not yet gotten a Rumpel blanket and you love dreaming of adventure like me, this is what you're missing out. Get one already. Holidays are for blanket buying, and Rumpel blankets are the best. Go to rumpl.com and check out their full line of amazing blankets to dream about adventure. So I'm unboxing the brand new Nathan Summit polarized sunglasses I received to review, and I can't help but being reminded of the popular sunglasses for trail runners that are pretty alright, like good. Get it? Good. The packaging and presentation looks almost identical. And the frames in shape and style could easily be mistaken for the competition with the silly flamingo as mascot. But Nathan's are different, and not just in price. They're $50, which definitely raises the expectations. They come in a few cool colors and offer the usual bells and whistles. The frame is light, flexible, the lenses are polarized and offer 100% UV protection. They also have a nice soft grip cushioned nose pad, is that a thing? And the temple ends, the very ends of the sunglasses, which make them very comfortable and will be great for those long runs in the summer sun. I'm excited about them. They seem to be a solid upgrade and still not at a price point that you'd cry bitter tears if they get dinged up while screes surfing in the Alpine. So while the winter times can feel dark and gloomy, these Nathan sunglasses can help you look forward to your next summertime adventures. Visit nathansports.com to learn more and check out the expanded line of running gear, from clothes to the durable and much loved hydration packs. Socks are and always will be the perfect stocking stuffer, and Swiftwick makes quality socks for everyday use and for your training runs. One of my favorites are the National Park Collection socks with the great designs of popular parks from all over the country. These socks make a great gift for any national park lover on your gift-giving list. Visit Swiftwick.com and browse their whole selection of fine foot coverings, Swiftwick socks. And finally, have you checked out the new Singletrack shirt design? Yes? No? Do it now. Stop the podcast. Click the link in your player. Singletrack.fm/store. We got shirts in cool new colors with a cool new design. Get yours for the holidays. And thank you for your support of this fine audio extravaganza. And now, here is Jeff Vierling from Tailwind Nutrition. Jeff, welcome back to the show. First off, congrats. You just went through last week, a couple weeks ago, I don't even know exactly when, a huge rebranding with Tailwind Nutrition. You kept the name, but changed almost, and the product, but you changed almost everything else. You launched a new website, a new online store, new physical packaging, a new product flavor as well, as if that's enough, and then a complete new look for the brand. So, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, we've been busy.
Well,
ready for a vacation now.
Ready for vacation. Well, now with new packaging out, everybody wants to buy your stuff now. So now you are. Well, perhaps you can hand it off to the production team. So now ship out the product. I'm going on vacation.
Yeah, well, there's still a lot of work to do, and we have some loose ends still to tie up on the website. But we're very excited about being able to launch both of those: the website and the new packaging, along with our matcha flavor. And I'm excited to be here and talking with you about it.
So let's take a little step back. I'm a designer, and when I saw that the new design came out, I got super excited immediately, contacting you and said, "Hey, you need to come on the show and talk about it." So this is a little bit of a meta conversation, but I like it that way, and hope my listeners will enjoy it too. Let's step back. So Tailwind has been around for how long now?
So we started in the summer of 2012, doing kind of a big beta test, and then really 2013 was our first full year at it. Okay, super. So, and did you immediately launch with your existing? No, I know that you did some, for a while you did some back alley baggies, but how long has the original or the previous design iteration been around? So we actually had a little interlude there in that first summer where we did some canisters rather than bags. Oh. And we quickly learned that canisters take up a lot of space even when they're empty. Mm-hmm. And then they're a little more difficult to ship and less efficient to ship. But they also have a lot of plastic content in them. So we shifted to bags after that. In 2013, and the original logo and really what I'll call the design that we've had up to this point was in place at that point, but we have made some evolution over the years, and back then it was also just stickers that were applied to existing bags. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So your design has been around for a few years, so it was time to give it a refresh. I'm really glad we're recording this actually just 2 hours after Facebook announced their name change. So I'm really glad that you kept the name and you didn't do some kind of weirdness, but you're also not really responsible for destroying democracy. So I guess you didn't really have to change the name to try to move away from your previous. Well, let's just say I think it's fine for Facebook to sail off into the metaverse.
Absolutely. All right. So, how should we tackle this? So when did you start thinking, you know what, it's time for a refresh? What was the impetus and how long ago did that start?
Mm-hmm. So we actually had a couple of ways that this came together. One was we wanted to replatform our website onto Shopify. Okay. And so we actually started that last year. And so that's been quite a long project. And then we also had some issues with our existing packaging, which we liked it, and we like our and we've kind of kept the theme of the colors that relate to our flavors too. But there were some technical problems with it, with the logo in particular, because we had an eight color and some gradients in that logo, and that made it difficult to work with some other backgrounds and hard to transfer onto different swag items and things like that. So that was one thing we wanted to try and modernize, but we wanted to keep the keep the vortex and keep that sense of the wind at your back. That's really the idea of Tailwind, kind of giving you a gentle push along. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the things that we had on our list we really wanted to fix. And the second big thing was that, we have a tremendous group of customers that we love and love Tailwind. And but we also have heard from some athletes who really we think can benefit from our products, but they think that the brand is too, they're maybe not as hardcore enough to be using our products. And so we wanted to try and connect our packaging to obviously include all of our endurance customers, who are doing longer kinds of events, but also be welcoming to those folks who, might have thought that the brand was only for hardcore athletes. And that kind of led us into doing a brand exploration. Okay. and helping us sort of understand, well, what is it that motivates, what are the common denominators that motivate people to get out and do what they love? And what we found out was kind of interesting, which is that though reaching goals is important, and whether that be a race goal or a fitness goal or wanting to improve your times or whatever, but on a day-to-day basis, the reasons that people get out have a lot more to do with that they really enjoy being outdoors. They get they get a sense of accomplishment from doing what they love, but it also is just their time. It's the way that they choose to spend their free time that they enjoy, and we wanted to tap into that. That's really a common theme across everybody. Mm-hmm. And that was that sort of led us down this direction of making the packaging reflect visually those emotions that you get from being outside and doing what you enjoy.
I mean, for me, from a designer, I see a couple things. Number one, I very much congratulate you that you went with a single color monochromatic logo, if you will, because the gradient was unique, but it is challenging. Me, as somebody who has been sponsored by you for my races, when I try to apply your logo to my site, I always realize that gradient creates some challenge, and that's just a practical aspect. So that's not I mean, especially for me on my end, that's something I deal with. But if for me, from a designer point of view, I definitely would have also recommended you to change that or to tackle that in a rebranding. So that makes perfect sense. What I love is that you kept the gradient in the basic packaging. So even though on the main logo, you completely went away from all of the colors, because now it's a solid purple, mainly when it's on a white background, which never really was found in the existing logo. So it's quite a departure, but you kept the branding or that gradient in the packaging. And I think the packaging looks super strong.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's what the packaging is meant to evoke is that the feeling that you might take away from being out at sunset or on a trail in the forest or up high in the mountains or maybe along the ocean. So it's some of those, not in a literal sense, like we're not trying to kind of just make a landscape view of those things, but more in an emotional sense of that combination of intensity and color and tone and just the feeling that you get in those spaces, and it reminds us of the times that are great. On the trail. I
mean, I think it's a very sort of mature thought process to go all the way into the feeling, because that's what's translating beyond. It's so easy to connect the outdoors with photos, because photos are so striking in the outdoors. You always have such an easy and obvious thing you can play with, but to completely move away with it and really go into the emotion, I think is a really smart way, because you have athletes that using your product in a variety of ways, and so they might not connect with photos from the mountains if they're using it while training for a triathlon on the beach or something, right? So you want to move away and let everybody sort of interpret these colors in their own way. I think that's smart.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But we also wanted to capture, the fact that sport brings, it takes work, there's intensity to it. And at the same time, there's enjoyment from it. So it's kind of that combination of both. And that's what we were trying to do with the gradients and with the colors that we chose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the colors for the packaging are super good to have it so striking, and it looks cool, because that's the product that sits for weeks in your cupboard waiting for you every time you're starting to run. You see the bag, and I think that was super great. Let's talk about the logo a little bit. How
Sure.
did you end up on the purple?
So, part of this process, we started with some mood boards, and we were working with a design group out of Austin who led us through this, and they were really terrific. But we started with really some mood boards, and what that is, if you aren't, in design speak anyways,
Yeah.
and it's certainly something I needed to learn about, it's really not, we're not trying to do sketches of the packaging at that point, but we're just trying to capture what are the kind of combinations of maybe some images, maybe some products, maybe some designs that we like and that mesh well together. And out of that, that's sort of what came to become our color scheme. And the purple logo really worked well with a lot of the other colors we wanted to work with, and it captured that sense of intensity, but it's also a very positive color, so it has some positive associations. Now, we do have some flexibility with this logo, that we can use different colors with the logo for different backgrounds that we're putting it on. So you will see it on some of our packaging. You'll see some variations in that logo color too, depending on the background.
Yeah, like the recovery products are different color, but all of your endurance fuel sort of has the same purple, and that purple
Right.
is prominently on the website, being sort of the header logo. So it's interesting that you ended up on the purple, just because it's something that previously wasn't at all part of your original logo. Sometimes when brands redesign, they keep a color or a couple colors and sort of move forward with those. So it's interesting that you ended up. It works, but it's an interesting sort of departure and transition.
It is, but in some senses, like our previous logo, while it had the 8 colors and the gradients in the logo itself, the text itself was really just black and white. And so by now making the logo one color, including the text, I think we're bringing a dimension to that we didn't have previously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. So for everyone who listens to this, you have to go to the website, and you actually have to tailwindnutrition.com, and you actually have to scroll down, because that pinwheel, that vortex, is actually animated, which I can't stop scrolling up and down the page because it's such a fun neat little trick to
Isn't that great?
It is very, very, very great, because it's not overly in your face. It's not something that needs to. As a website designer, sometimes I see eye candy that feels like is too taxing either on the customer and having to engage with it, or the user of the website, or I'm looking at it from a bandwidth point of view. I'm like, that's gonna take so long to load, and it's really just eye candy. No, this is such a tiny little thing. It's very, very great. I love it. So everyone go there and just check out the little pinwheels.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's actually, one of our hopes too is that we can spread the pinwheel design itself and be able to use that even without the name in some places, and have people be able to recognize it. So having that spin is kind of also a way to imprint that, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As somebody who is a very simple designer, these curved semicircles I find fascinating, because they're not even. Those are not just semicircles. They're stretched. There is some very fancy illustrative work going on, which I'm fascinated with if I'm looking at it, because they're sort of bent and uneven, but obviously create a cool symmetry around it. It's very cool. I like it.
Thank you. That was, to credit to our design team, because they put a lot of work into that, and there were a lot of iterations of that. Mm-hmm. And I think, as you're kind of astutely pointing out, if they were really just a semicircle, you end up losing a lot of the feeling of motion that you get from that.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't feel dynamic, right? It just would be sort of laid on top of each other.
Right. And we were trying hard not to wind up with something that looks like a software logo.
Oh, yeah. No, that's very true, too. Especially if you would have kept the colors potentially in, right? Microsoft, Skype, and a few other companies who are all trying to be, let's have the 4 primary colors because we're everything to everyone. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's good that you moved away from that. It makes perfect sense. So let me ask you a hard question. Why does the new Tailwind have one dot over one eye, but not on the other one?
That that looks like a mistake, actually.
Oh no! Are you kidding me? You heard it. So because
I'm gonna have to verify that one.
I love this. So here's the thing: on your packaging, it makes perfect sense because of the logo is taking the place of the eye there. Exactly.
I don't think that's supposed to carry through where it does.
But
I'm going to have to check the team.
Yeah, no, exactly. But on your main website, then, when the pinwheel is to the left, it's missing over the second eye, and I looked at it. I'm sorry. I don't want to nitpick here, right? I don't want to put you in a weird place.
You are actually the first person to notice that, and congratulations. That is
Thank
great.
you. Well, no, I saw it, and it bugged me. Not because I think it's bad, but because as a designer, you always have to have an explanation for something. And I found the explanation in your packaging design, because there the pinwheel is perfectly placed over that second eye and creates that dot, and it works great. But then I looked at it, and then I went back to your old logo and realized that on your old logo, you don't have the eyes at all dotted. Both eyes are without dot. So I actually went into Photoshop and I tried to place the dot over the eye to look and see which one I like better, and I couldn't come up with a conclusive, this visual reason why it would be that way. So I wanted to ask you this without putting you on the spot.
You got me.
Well, and more so.
I mean, one of the things about a project like this is there are so many details that, it is difficult to get them all right at the same moment. We have some things we are trying to fix and clean up on our website too. So yeah. I appreciate you pointing that out.
No problem at all. It is super difficult from a designer point of view. You're the one to kind of push the company into a new direction, right? But you you're not a designer. You're wearing all these different hats, and so there is a really good tension where the designer sort of pushes the direction in one way and saying, this is where it needs to go, and you visually and from a trend point of view and stuff, right? But you see the overarching piece. You see your customers, you see roadmaps, and well, let's talk a little bit about roadmap, and that is, if taken you a long time. You went on a good design journey. This wasn't something that you just did overnight, and you did roll out, and this was the other big challenge because it was such a big change. It included packaging design, website, and rebranding. You sort of had to try to synchronize everything and dump everything out into the public at once, which is super, super hard, right? It
is super hard. There are many moving parts to that. And we actually had tried to do the re-platforming of the website prior to doing the packaging redesign, but that project kind of slipped into the time frame where it really made sense to try and put it together and do it all at once. Yep. But you're absolutely right that trying to time all that, and there's also an operational side to that because, meantime we're making, and we're we manufacture our own products, so we're making and we're selling products out, not just through our website, but also at Amazon and also through our wholesale stores. And so there's product out in the channel too. And then trying to time it all and kind of get the messaging out all at once is challenging.
No, it's super, right? It's difficult because you don't want to be in a place that you run out of bag material, packaging for a certain flavor. And you're like, well, I don't want to reorder that, but the new logo or the new design is not really finished. So can our package is already up? Can it go out into channels? And I don't, to be quite honest, I don't know if any company gets that right? I mean, the best companies, I guess even Apple, when they make their big product announcements, they take their online store offline for several hours and say, we'll be right back, right? And for a few hours, you just can't access anything at all.
And they are running down the inventory of their, the machines they're going to replace. They run the inventory down prior to doing that. So it becomes difficult to get them.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And we did put a lot of thought into that transition because we also have a lot of different, we've got obviously different flavors, different products, different sizes within those as well. And trying to time sort of when you're going to run out of all the old packaging together with when the new packaging is going to be ready. That's very tricky. So it is very much a transition. And especially when you have some of the older packaging's already out in the channel and it might be available on a store shelf, there's going to be a period of time in which they overlap.
Yeah.
And that's really probably the only realistic way to do it. It's very difficult to try and say collect all the old packaging that might be out in the wild and then replace it all at once. It's just not really practical to do that.
And I don't think any company of any size would do it that way.
No.
Unless you have, speaking of Apple, right? Unless your new product is, by their own marketing speak, a million times better than the previous one. It's not like you are changing the formula of your product.
No, the product's the same.
Exactly.
It's really just a different look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and I think that's important for people who potentially order now and you still get the old packaging, right? You're not getting an inferior product. Stick with it. No, I think that's important. But I think I've seen this countless times in grocery stores or so when brands rebrand or so, then you sometimes get the same product in two different designs, even on a grocery store shelf or so. And
that's pretty common. You do see that sort of like that. It might have something that says new look, same great product or something like that. But,
exactly. And for you, because you're filling up your own product, you don't have to be worried about having to sell the old packaging at a discount because it's not expired product, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's what you would find with the cereal companies, if they do a promotion with a movie and then the movie is like 3 months in the theaters, then they want to get rid of that particular packaging. But for you, that's not something to worry about.
I always think about packaging too that's around holidays,
yeah,
for instance. Well, that stuff's great until the day after the holiday.
No, exactly. And it's timely seasonal stuff is really challenging because you have such a definitive shelf by date for sure. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're always joking that chocolate Santas get melted back in and turned into chocolate Easter bunnies, right? But I don't think that
Do they really?
I don't think so. I think people are saying that, but I don't think. I think if I bet you there are some designers who've been trying to figure out how to use the same chocolate molds and turn a Santa shape into an Easter bunny shape or something, right? That they're like, well, perhaps we don't even have to do this different shape.
Just add some tall ears, I guess.
Yeah, something like that. Perhaps a really tall, just say Santa hat or something. Well, so let me ask you another deep level question. One of the big challenges must be too, if you are transitioning shopping platforms on the website, there is an entire customer database that needs to be merged. That must be also a giant undertaking, right? Am I asking all the difficult questions here?
I think that would be very impressive if you could pull that off.
Yeah.
I want to tell you about a couple other things that might not be obvious.
Yeah, please.
From the visual, but we also added a soft touch layer, a soft touch finish to the packaging. And so the hope is that you'll look at it on the shelf and it's attractive enough you want to pick it up and feel it. And then when you feel it, it's just this really nice soft touch that just makes you want to hang on to it. Mm-hmm. So that's really cool. And then inside our bags too, we include scoops, to help you get the right portions out. And that's always been sort of a conflicting thing for us because there's a lot of plastic that's in those scoops. But at the same time, we know that people may pick up a bag at a store and head right to a trail, and then they really do need that ability to portion it out. But we've started to include post-consumer recycled scoops. Okay. So they're 100% of made from recycled plastic, and then they're recyclable themselves. So that's pretty exciting too. And the actual scoops contain almost the same amount of plastic as the bags, and so it's a really nice way to reduce the amount of new plastic that's going into our products.
I was going to ask you about this, where you're at with that, because I know that from your messaging, I'm a ambassador, trailblazer too, so I get some messaging around questioning around would we feel as consumers, and with such a big rebrand, obviously that's on the forefront. Everything gets packaged in plastic, and so it's great to hear that. Have you thought of, now I'm jumping the gun already again, have you thought of selling a special metal scoop or something, like with embossed Tailwind on it or so, that people could use a permanent scoop instead of adding it to every bag?
Yes, we've had a lot of internal discussion about that, and also about the possibility of converting the instructions into using more standard measurements that you might just have at your home. And then obviously still making something available on the website that, should you want it. And the answer to that is that we do need to really get more input from our customers on that. And we have some plans to do that. And the reason kind of has to do with what I was talking about, and just some of those use cases where, and this is very much a use case for a lot of our customers. They're picking something up at the last minute and heading off to a race or heading out the wilderness, and then there's an expectation, I think, at least in the United States, that scoops are in bags. Mm-hmm. That's the default assumption that people make, and we don't want to disappoint customers who will find themselves without a way to figure out how much tailwind they should put in. But at the same time, we also know that, especially with our loyal customers, that some have quite a collection of scoops and don't need any more. Yeah. And so how do we resolve that? Especially when you think about that people may buy it in different ways. You might buy it on our website, where it's pretty easy for us to offer an option, but at a running store or a bike store, or at REI, and or you might buy it off of Amazon. Mm-hmm. And are your expectations the same? Right. From those channels? And we only, we manufacture things all at once, so we don't know when we're making it whether it's going to go to a wholesale channel or Amazon or website. So those are all kind of considerations that we're trying to understand. But if we could get rid of them, it would be, I think, just a good thing from an environmental standpoint.
Mm. You see, this is the interesting thing, what I mentioned earlier, that you, as the business owner, you have all of the pieces in your hand and juggle everything. And then I come in as a designer and it's like, let's get rid of the spoons. And you're like, yeah, but you have to think of somebody who, as you say, picks it up at a bike store or outdoor store on the way to a trailhead, and then opens the bag, and then there's no spoon inside. You have to consider it, because I have 5 or 6 bags up in my cupboard, and I'm happy to open each bag up and find a spoon in there. It is a great convenience. I don't deny that. If I would have to find the right spoon every single time or wash it out or whatever. No, I get it. It's one of those interesting challenges that that needs to be considered on all levels. I'm not sure there's a
right answer here.
Yeah, there is no right answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll take some creative thinking. And going back to what you were actually saying, that it's made out of recycled plastic and can be recycled. You're already taking big steps in sort of solving some of the issues with it. So that's really great. All right. So we talked about the packaging.
Yeah. Sorry, you just dropped out there for a moment.
Oh, sorry. Let's keep going. I was just saying that we talked about the packaging. Well, we have a new product flavor too. So as if there wasn't enough change, you also launched with a new flavor into the fall. Tell me about matcha. Oh, am I?
Yeah. So we've actually not. We've never discontinued a flavor before, and while we have some customers who absolutely love the green tea flavor, it has been consistently our slowest selling flavor, and so we started looking around to say, well, maybe is there something that would appeal to people that like that flavors from that quadrant. And when I talk about a quadrant, we look at flavors by flavor by sort of a quadrant grid, and this is sometimes called the brown category, which would include teas and colas and things like that. And it's very important that we have flavors that are in each quadrant, because people's taste buds are really kind of all over the map, and people like different things, and we want to make sure that we have products that fit what you enjoy. So the matcha flavor is still a green tea, mm-hmm. And so there's still some there's still some commonality with the green tea. But one of the things that people didn't like about it is the green tea flavor we had previously was that it was a little more, it had kind of a floral aspect to it. Mm-hmm. And this matcha is a little more earthy and less floral. So we actually think in tasting it that if you liked the green tea before, you're still likely going to really enjoy the matcha flavor. But we also think that people that might have been turned off by the more floral aspect will like the matcha flavor as well. So we're pretty excited to be able to offer it. And it's actually one of my favorite package designs too, just from a color standpoint.
Oh yeah, it's very cool. I agree. Yeah, that gradient going from green into blue is super strong.
It is.
So
yeah, I love that one.
It's sort of green tea 2.0 in a sense.
Yeah, I think that's a fair characterization of it. It's kind of taking, I think, what we felt like were the strongest aspects of the green tea flavor but making it kind of cleaner and more direct.
Okay. It's great. It has just been out. I've not had a chance of trying it, so I'm very much looking forward to be able to try it in the next couple of weeks to see, because I liked the green tea. It wasn't the flavor that I would have taken with me as my core flavor, but it's definitely something that I enjoyed. I think it felt like a little bit too opinionated for me to be to sort of a all day flavor. I mean, it also had caffeine in it, so it anyway shouldn't be. But whenever I had it, I always felt like it was one of the most stimulating of the senses. It wasn't as not agreeable. It wasn't as obvious as flavors like lemon or mandarin or so, right? You sort of expect out on a run, out on a long activity, you sort of expect that flavor. Wherein the green tea was always something delightful, something surprising. And so I'm looking forward to see how matcha is sort of taking that to the next level.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what you think about it.
Well, super. So I think, I hope that some of the ambassadors are going to be able to hear this too, because they're been jumping at the bits to get some new merchandising in their hands. Especially because you already shown some of the merchandising and swag on social media channels, and people are like, wait, what? Why can't I buy it? So
well, this would be my moment to lament the state of the supply chains at the moment.
Oh yes, no, for
supply
sure.
Supply chains and logistics. So you'll probably notice on our website that the gear section is a little bit thin. We are working on that, but really, one of the challenges right now is that it's somewhat unpredictable how long things might take to get to you.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's something that I didn't consider at all, even though I'm fully aware of the global supply chain issues. But obviously, that kind of swag is something you don't produce yourself, you don't have under control, and so therefore you are a little bit at the mercy of wherever. I'm glad you're not making bikes, because I think then you'd be 18 months out,
boy.
right?
That's right. Yeah, no, it's these are interesting times, and it's been a challenge from our manufacturing side. We use boxes to as cases to put our products into, and for larger orders that are going out, those boxes will go right onto a pallet, or we'll open them up and use them to for fulfilling our consumer orders or some of our wholesale orders, but we can't even get the boxes right now. So we're using some bins back and forth. It's an interesting time right now that the supply chains and also the transportation is really under stress. That whole system's under stress right now.
Yeah, it is a weird time. I only like scratched the surface in trying to even remotely understand where it gotten out of sort. It's easy to just throw the hands up in the air and say COVID, but I think that obviously that has been brewing for a while and is now stretched or torn in many ways. I mean, when I was in Europe a couple of months ago, I talked to people and there are exactly the same issues over there. So it's not even a regional or national thing. It's really an issue that affects the global supply chain.
Yeah, it is. So we kind of kept our focus on just really trying to make sure that we can continue to make our products and get them to people. But some things like the swag they're just delayed.
Yeah,
I mean the way it is.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. I mean there's some people that are going to be sad or hopefully not upset, but obviously that's something that everyone understands, especially because it's not your core product, right? People don't rely on your swag to successfully run races or anything like that. As long as you can keep your core product on the shelf, then and available for selling, then I think that's good, right?
Yep, that's definitely our priority right now.
Yeah. Well, super. What have I missed? Have we talked about everything?
One thing I think we didn't talk about. I mean, we talked about the colors a lot, but I just also wanted to say, like, one of our focus on the design was simplicity, and this is all from the logo to the overall look of the bags, and what we're trying to convey there really is what's different about Tailwind products versus some of the competitors maybe that you might see right next to them is for like an endurance fuel. For the endurance fuel, it's really we are baking in everything into the powder that you would need to be able to go out and enjoy a long day, and you don't have to be carrying extra food or salt pills or things like that. So the simplicity is very much a part of kind of who we are and what we want to try and provide to our customers, so that you can use our products easily and have a repeatable good experience. And that definitely applies to our recovery as well, which we did change the name of from Rebuild to Recovery Mix. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that was we just heard from people that they weren't really sure what Rebuild was. Okay. And then other people would just call it our recovery product anyways. Mm-hmm. So we thought it would be clearer and simpler to call it what it is, which is a recovery mix. And again, that is a complete recovery mix. It's rebuilding your glycogen stores. It's giving you the complete protein you need to rebuild muscles, and then providing electrolytes for rehydration. So it's really how we approach all of our products, and we wanted that to come through in the simplicity of the designs themselves.
Yeah, it's the designs of the bags, also the way you sort of flipped the gradients around and went with very dark packaging on the recovery is, I think, great.
Yeah, we wanted to try and, even though the form factors are very similar, we wanted to make them visually stand out, mm-hmm. between the two product lines.
Mm-hmm. I think my favorite gradient is your cola. I love the orange cool purple one. It's really screams. Amazing. Well, super cool. Well, this has been fascinating. I mean, again, for me as a designer, I loved sort of get that thrown into my face, and because as much as it came as a surprise, it was fairly complete for me, because the website immediately, and then you immediately rolled it out on social media. And so there was a lot to digest and to discover. And so I absolutely loved kind of going through and seeing and knowing that the relationship we have. I knew I could or I was hoping that I could get you on the line so I could able to sort of take all of my thoughts that I had and knew that I could take them somewhere, because Tim Cook doesn't pick up the phone when I call him and say, hey, I've got some thoughts on the new AirPods.
Well, that's surprising.
I know. I'm surprised just as much as you are. No, I super appreciate the time for you to come on the show. I super appreciate you kind of telling the story and sort of lifting the curtain a little bit and letting us kind of sharing how all of this came to be. It's great to hear that obviously the product is still just as rock solid as it's always been. And I mean, it's actually good that you're not sort of hiding. Other brands have done that they were hiding sort of behind a rebranding and an outsourcing of material or a big change in formula or something. And you sort of use the rebranding of like, oh, here's your packaging. But actually, this is now an inferior product type deal. But you are still making just the same great product as before, and now with even cooler packaging. I think that's important for people to recognize, especially if I'm a designer and I do marketing, so I'm not afraid of marketing. Some people are very leery of it, right? They're worried that this is sort of surface.
Yeah. And I know change can be difficult to get used to, and we really appreciate. I appreciate the time you've taken to kind of explore this, but also appreciate like our customers just being willing to come along on this journey with us as we've, we're trying to upgrade the look and kind of modernize it, but without losing the key elements of our brand. And like you said, I mean, we aren't changing the products. The products are the same ones. We still make them. We still care just as much about our customers. So it's not a sleight of hand in the least. But we're very excited about the look and feel of it, and the flexibility that it's going to give us going forward too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And as a business owner, it must be thrilling for you to be able to sort of continue to grow the business while sort of being able to sort of, change the wallpaper a little bit, right? I mean, you've been looking at the same logo for many, many years, and there is a little bit of fatigue that sets in after a while, right? Where you're sort of, it feels good to sort of refresh and, get a new wardrobe for the summer or something like that, right? It is, and with brands, you can't do that as often. You can't.
It really does. I mean, and it's hard to do. I mean, it takes a lot of work to do, and it's consumed a lot of energy from our team, which has been terrific, and the teams that we work with. But it's a little bit like, hey, that T-shirt that you got, 10 years ago, and you might love it, but maybe it's time for a new one after a decade.
Yeah, exactly. So super. Jeff, that's all I got. Obviously, tailwindnutrition.com is the website for you. Still the same address, still the same great product. People should go and check it out. Where else do you want to send people? Should they follow you on Instagram? I think that's currently the most shared social platform for people to connect with products and brands.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I think that's right. We try and post things and share stories from our customers on Instagram all the time. So that is a great place to keep up with us. And then definitely check out the new website. And we've got some elements of that are still coming, but we'll have a subscription capability soon. So we're excited to be able to offer that too. That's something we already have on Amazon, but we haven't had on our website to this point. So we're continuing to kind of work on the technology side of it and make it as easy to use as possible.
Yeah, that's great.
And hope you like it.
Yeah, brilliant. Jeff, thank you so much. I think that's all I got for you.
All right. Well, thanks, Matthias. It was super, super fun to talk with you. I appreciate the conversation.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember, super cool Singletrack shirts are still on sale at singletrack.fm/store. The holiday gift guide lives at singletrack.fm/gear. And today's amazing gift ideas are Rumpel blankets, Nathan sunglasses, and Swiftwick National Park Collection socks. Until next time und tschüss.